Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I go for refuge in the Buddha. I go for refuge in the Dharma. I go for refuge in the Sangha. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
This Dharma, incomparably profound and minutely subtle, is rarely encountered, even in hundreds of thousands of millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, hold and maintain it. May we completely realize the true mind of all Buddhas.
Howdy, friends, neighbors. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight, this beautiful New Year's night. Um, some time ago, I think it was me, it was someone here, but I think it was me gave a talk here about not being a bodhisattva, emptiness and all that stuff, whatever. And I'm happily contradicting myself here tonight because I'm making a New Year's resolution to be more like a bodhisattva. And one good place to start looking for this sort of thing is, of course, the six paramitas, the six perfections. Shantideva and his The Way of the Bodhisattva organized the book according to the paramitas. And the first of them, Dana Paramita, the perfection of generosity. Not just doing traditional forms of generosity sorts of stuff. You think of, but like a general orientation towards, or a inclination towards helping others, just as that way of being in the world. It might be partly expressed in, or certainly supported by, the four Brahma Viharas: goodwill, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. But I think it's also helpful to have role models for this. What does a Buddha or a Bodhisattva? How does a Buddha or a Bodhisattva live in the world? How does one embody that sort of Buddhahood or the way of the Bodhisattva? And you start looking around for these role models, you can find some disappointments real quick, where you look into some quote Zen master and you end up finding sex scandals and money scandals. And at Scudder Falls, I think it was there, somebody referred to me as a Zen master, and I joked, how dare you call me that? I don't sleep with my students. But I have had role models. My teacher Andre, who, well, actually, not very many of you here know, but maybe some of you know. I learned a lot from him. Humility. Not believing in the realness of the roles we play. Not thinking of Zen, as they say, accepting my ordinariness. There's a few other really very famous Buddhists who are quite inspiring, like Thich Nhat Hanh or Pema Chodron, are, their imperturbable joy and their calm, their compassion, their generosity. They seem pretty extraordinary and are really inspiring. But when it comes to Dana Paramita, the perfection of generosity, there's one person I always go back to. It's Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers, as in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I grew up with him. He invited me to be his neighbor, and I accepted. So he's always been a part of my life. He was there for me when I was a child. He's fantastic. So I think, what does Dana Paramita look like? I think Fred Rogers. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote somewhere or other that one of the greatest acts of generosity that we can engage in is just being present for people. He also wrote, or giving people space. Those are two good complementary ones. But I think when it comes to that generosity as being present with folks, Fred Rogers is just the greatest embodiment of that. There's at least one documentary about him. Obviously, there's the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. See him, and there's a dramatic film about him. I really encourage people to check him out. He's got some books as well you can read, and just see the way that he is with children. To watch the way, how incredibly present he is. Well, he's like that with everybody. I guess he treats everybody the way he treats children, in a good way. But just so present with them. Is so curious about them. So interested in figuring out what is it that child needs at that particular moment. I mean, it's like a miracle to watch him like one-on-one with a child. It's extraordinary. Yeah, anyway, you should see it. It's fantastic. And he's famous for saying, "I like you just the way you are." And of course, that doesn't mean, go ahead and be a little jerk. He's written about this. So, I mean, this isn't me like interpreting or making it up. What he meant is how he likes the you that's underneath the anger, the sadness, the selfishness, the fear, whatever it may be. And you see him with kids. He talk like, oh, he liked kids or he loved kids, but it wasn't just that. I think something really more important with him and kids is the way he respected kids. My partner Joe's, I mean, she's taught me, I mean, at least as much, if not more, than Mr. Rogers about that way of respecting kids. And I thought she put it really great when about like why we need to treat, really not just love kids, but respect them as individuals. In a way, she said it was that, kids have, quote, big thoughts. There's also very Mr. Rogers sort of, I can't remember how he put it, but similar sorts of things. He's just extraordinary in the respect and the way that he's present with them. Again, it's like it's just miraculous watching him with kids. Now I know this talk, is about like bodhisattvas and all that, and I do hesitate to call Mr. Rogers a bodhisattva because it was really important to him that he was a Presbyterian minister, right? And so that could seem like diminishing him or the things that are important to him by referring to him that way. But then again, I don't think he'd mind in some ways, because of course he was very pluralistic, open-minded sort of guy. But more important than that, I think just the way he is. If I said this in this sort of diminishing sort of thing, I think he would readily see past it and say, okay, this guy, yeah, it's kind of insulting, but this guy, he's trying to express appreciation and love and respect. And so he'd see past his own thing to see where that was coming from. But it was very important that he was a Presbyterian minister. His generosity, his nonviolence, love, I mean, that was very much grounded in Christianity, not Buddhism. And so I want to honor and respect that. It was his reading of the Gospels, Paul's letters, example of Jesus, that's where he found things like goodwill, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, the four Brahma Viharas. Of course, it's not just his Christianity. Christianity, like Buddhism, is insufficient. Remember, the sex and money scandals I just mentioned. Christianity has those, just like Buddhism does. And Fred Rogers really had to work to become Mr. Rogers, right? And I mean, besides training, he went to seminary. He was trained as a child psychologist and just working on himself as well. And so Mr. Rogers, as we think of him, I mean, that came from innumerable conditions, like all things, right? Including his own experiences of being bullied, that experience of having difficulty expressing feelings in his home when he was a child. But regardless, I do honor the role of the crucial role of Christianity and him being what he was. Nonetheless, Mr. Rogers is my main role model for Dana Paramita, for that embodiment of generosity. The way of being in the world is just continually open to helping others. And so, Mr. Rogers, I like you just the way you are. And I'm so thankful that he was my neighbor, and that he invited me and millions of kids and their parents to be his neighbor. I don't just like Mr. Rogers, I love Mr. Rogers. And so I resolve this year to be more like him, to be more like a bodhisattva. And so neighbors, maybe you want to join me in this resolution. Either way, I like you just the way you are.
We'll go back for another 15 minutes of seated meditation.
Chant the Heart Sutra. Bear with me. I'm on a drum pad, not a mock tech. The Maha Prajna Paramita Edaya Sutra Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva when practicing deeply the Prajna Paramita perceives that all five skandhas are empty and is safe from all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. That which is form is emptiness. That which is emptiness, form. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, and pulses. Consciousness, Shariputra, all dharmas are marked with emptiness. They do not appear or disappear, are not tainted or pure, do not increase or decrease. Therefore, in emptiness, no form, no feelings, perceptions, and pulses. Consciousness, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of mind, no realm of eyes, and so forth, until no realm of mind. Consciousness, no ignorance, and also no extinction of it, and so forth, until no old age and death, and also no extinction of them, no suffering, no origination, no stopping, no path, no cognition, also no attainment, with nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva depends on Prajna Paramita, and the mind is no hindrance. Without any hindrance, no fears exist. Far apart from every perverted view, one dwells in nirvana, and the three worlds, all Buddhas depend on Prajna Paramita, and attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is the great transcendent mantra, is the great bright mantra, is the utmost mantra, is the supreme mantra, which is able to relieve all suffering, and is true, not false. So proclaim the Prajna Paramita mantra. Proclaim the mantra which says Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Gate Gate
Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisva.
In dedication of merit. All sentient beings are one seamless body and pass quickly from birth to death. We remember those who cared for us and are gone, those who are ill, those who are at war, who are hungry, and who are in pain. May they heal and have peace. We especially dedicate our service to all sentient beings who are hurting and who are in pain, all the families of those in New Orleans who suffered from that tragedy due to ignorance. Anybody else want to dedicate some merit?
The victims of the fallacy of statehood around the world on this new year.
Joanne Sheridan, Brianna Sheridan, Elizabeth St. Laurent, and Joseph Giancotti and their families.
Elaine Sue and Ivan Hoskins.
Special one for the people of Palestine, all in prison, and those facing survival on the cold streets tonight. Thank you.
All beings in the 10 directions. Anybody else want to dedicate merit? All beings in the 10 directions subject to the greed, hatred, and delusion of themselves and others. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, mahaprajna paramita. The faith and practice vow. I will never retreat and will be firm in my mind in this correct dharma. I will escape from the samsaric cycle of birth and death, and definitely will see my original face. I will be sure to inherit the life of insight of the Buddha and save all sentient beings. Giving thanks. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. Birds and trees and stars and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We practice and recite this for all beings and grateful thanks to our many guides along the way. Four great bodhisattva vows. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to help them all. Delusions are countless. We vow to see through them all. Opportunities to awaken are infinite. We vow to embrace them all. The Buddha way is endless, and we vow to embody it. Great admonition. Life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly by and opportunities to awaken are easily lost. Strive to realize your true nature. Do not squander your time by night or day.